Tansei, good evening. I'm Krisanachkate. Welcome to APTN National News. Thank you for joining us on this Monday. The power for the Pimicikamak Cree Nation in northern Manitoba has been restored. However, officials say they are not out of the woods yet. The Cree Nation's chief says they are now in the middle of major repairs for many homes after pipes froze and burst due to the power outage. APTN's Julia Ross starts us off.
After a power line serving Pimicikamak in Manitoba snapped, the community was left without power for 4 days in temperatures below -20. This Wednesday, Premier of Manitoba Wab Kinew, as well as other provincial, federal, and other First Nation leaders will be visiting the community. Pimicikamak councillor Shirley Robinson has been evacuated in Winnipeg for 8 days so far during the holiday season.
We're just starting our Christmas holiday. Everybody was, all our staff, and it totally disrupted our entire Christmas and New Year holiday. We didn't even get to celebrate New Year in our community as we always do.
She says more than 4,000 members were evacuated as of yesterday. They are now staying in Thompson, Winnipeg, Norway House, The Paw, and Flin Flon.
Last night we welcomed another 2 busloads of people from the community because of what is happening back home with our water systems and our water treatment plants and the pipes.
Robinson says that the water damage has been severe in the community, caused by exploding pipes and water tanks freezing.
Water tanks frozen, sewer tanks frozen, and sewer coming up in bathtubs. Cracked toilet bowls, you name it, and the flooring, like with the exploding pipes, then it destroys the entire floor of a home. And some were submerged 3 feet in water.
With no timeline for when community members can go home, Robinson says that she is thankful for the way community members joined together.
It was our people that mobilized so quickly to help one another, even if they had to put on 3 layers of clothing to be able to do what was required of them. And I just admire the love in our community.
Robinson says that the community is calling for any support and assistance that they can get. She also says that the donations and support the community has been receiving so far and help from Red Cross has been helping community members from infants to elders. Julia Ross, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Chrystia Freeland says she is leaving her seat in Parliament in the coming weeks. The move comes just hours after she was appointed an economic development advisor for Ukraine by Volodymyr Zelensky. Freeland says she will also step aside as the Prime Minister's special representative for the reconstruction of Ukraine. The former cabinet minister says the position with Ukraine is unpaid and voluntary. Freeland is of Ukrainian ancestry and has been a vocal supporter of the country during its war with Russia. A former employee of the Millbrook First Nation was sentenced to 4.5 years in prison last Friday. Dawn Ellis Abbott pleaded guilty in Nova Scotia Supreme Court in Truro last June, where she admitted to defrauding Millbrook of more than $4 million. She had been employed there as the band's senior finance clerk from 2016 to 2019. In addition to the prison sentence, Ellis Abbott must pay back $4.5 million over the next 15 years or spend another 5 years in custody if she defaults. She also received a 25-year prohibition from having any authority over property or the money of another person. A comedian living in Winnipeg has died following a house fire in Winnipeg just days before the new year. Clayton T. Stewart was only 45 years old and was a member of the Peguis First Nation. The fire broke out at around 1 p.m. on Monday, December 29th in Winnipeg's Lord Roberts neighborhood. Firefighters battled the blaze for 3 hours before getting it under control. Stewart was declared deceased on scene. 3 adults, 1 in her 30s and 2 in their 60s, escaped. They were taken to hospital and released. Stewart was a fixture in Winnipeg's stand-up comedy scene for more than a decade. He also appeared in several episodes of APTN's Laughing Drum. A celebration of Clayton's life will be held on January 31st, with a location yet to be confirmed. A GoFundMe with a goal of $40,000 has been set up to help cover funeral and other expenses. As of Monday, that amount is now more than $33,000. Last Sunday was the 4th annual National Ribbon Skirt Day, and many Winnipeggers gathered to recognize it. A member of the Cody First Nation, Isabella Kulak's experience at school in Saskatchewan sparked the movement. In December of 2020, 10-year-old Isabella Kulak wore a ribbon skirt to formal day at her school in the town of Kamsack, Saskatchewan. She was proud of her skirt, but was told by an educational assistant that she should have brought a dress like everyone else. Kulak's aunt posted the family's experience on Facebook. It gained regional and national attention, eventually leading to the nationally recognized day. The school division apologized, and in 2022, an act respecting National Ribbon Skirt Day as January 4th was unanimously enacted by Parliament. 4 years later, community members in Winnipeg gathered at the Polo Park Mall wearing ribbon skirts, shirts, pants, and dresses to a round dance in the center of the mall, all starting from Isabella's experience. As we close 2025, APTN News continues its look back on the year that was in Indigenous news. APTN Edmonton video journalist Chris Stewart shows us some of the big stories from the past year from Alberta.
January saw longtime banker head Mark Carney announce his candidacy for Prime Minister in Edmonton after Justin Trudeau announced he was stepping down. Carney went on to win the federal election in April.
In these times, sending Pierre Poilievre to negotiate with Donald Trump is the worst possible idea.
In February, Everett Rain resumed a lawsuit against the former Edmonton Police Chief Dale McPhee and 4 officers after he suffered a fractured skull during a 2019 arrest. An investigation noted that the evidence warranted prosecution. However, prosecutors stayed the proceedings. Then Chief McPhee said no discipline would be handed out.
I don't know how the chief can say that a use of force that results in a skull fracture that the chief acknowledges was not proportional or necessary in the circumstances can be a matter that is not serious.
In March, Edmonton police said no charges would be laid in the death of 13-year-old Eric Omisu. He was stabbed at an Edmonton transit terminal in February. Prosecutors said the stabbing was in self-defense. The family are seeking a judicial review of the decision not to lay charges. Also in March, an Alberta judge agreed with the decision not to prosecute an Edmonton police officer for kicking Pacey Dumas in the head in 2020. Dumas needed a section of his skull to be removed to relieve swelling in his brain.
It's been one blow after another of disappointment. If you can imagine what all of these decisions by the Crown has said is that your life doesn't matter. That's the message.
In June, the Pimicikamak Nation in Treaty 7 territory received 2 sacred ribstones that had been in possession for over 100 years at the Canadian Museum of History in Quebec. The stones were used for meditation, prayers, and success in the hunt.
And we are looking at bringing more things home each year. We're looking at going to New Mexico, where there's a Mutukuk headdress down there. In Colorado, museum there. And of course, Washington, D.C., there's things there that belong to us.
In July, Calgary police charged an officer with 2 counts of second-degree murder in the deaths of Levon Fox and Wesley Davidson in 2023. Constable Craig Stothard fired several shots during a slow-moving police chase. A year after a third of the town site of Jasper and much of its famous national park burned, APTN visited the site to see the progress of recovery and learned that recovery will take generations.
It will be a long time. The deciduous trees and our grasses and our forbs or our flowers, we are seeing those already, and those take up that lower level of the forest. But as far as seeing a coniferous tree, an adult tree, we're looking at decades.
In October, the family and supporters of Samuel Bird were at the Edmonton courthouse to demand justice for the 14-year-old, whose body was found after being missing since June. They wanted bail to be denied for Brian Farrell, who has been charged with second-degree murder in Samuel's death. His hearing has been rescheduled until February 9th.
Every child matters. Samuel Bird matters. That's what we're all here for. And I really appreciate the support that's behind me here. I don't know half of them or most of them, and I'm really grateful for them being here. I'm grateful for the car horns that go by here.
In November, the family of Natanis Marasti held a vigil in Edmonton to honor her. She has been missing since May.
It would help if somebody out there that knows something that to come forward, talk to the police, phone that number, let us know, let them know, we'll find her.
Also in November, the federal government announced fast-tracking of potential new pipelines from Alberta to the BC coast. Coastal First Nations were quick to respond.
We will never allow oil tankers in our coastal waters because an oil spill could destroy our way of life. This MOU does not override the rights and title of Coastal First Nations on BC's North Coast, Central Coast, and Haida Gwaii. The honor of the Crown means the federal government must consult with us on a nation-to-nation basis, and Canada's domestic and international legal commitments mean they must seek our consent. We will never consent to allowing oil tankers in our coastal waters.
And that is a look at some of the biggest stories of 2025 from Alberta. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
We want to hear what you think about the exact story you just saw. Here's how to continue the conversation with us. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. And to read and watch our stories, you can go to www.aptnnews.ca. You can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. We have more news coming up after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. It was a cold, wintry night on the river near Saging First Nation in Manitoba. This comes from James Moore, who captured this shot after a day of fishing. Thanks for sharing, James. If you have a picture you want to share on the air, email them to share@aptn.ca. Time now to take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. On the east coast, Halifax cloudy and 0, Charlottetown -3. Nain -17 and sun's out there, Le Grand River -15. Quebec City -6, Saguenay -4. North Bay -1, Peterborough cloudy and 0. -1 in Sudbury, Timmins -1. Puckatawagan -15, God's Lake -14. Winnipeg partly cloudy and -5, Barons River -16. -5 in Saskatoon, Regina -2. Meadow Lake -7, Buffalo Narrows -10. -1 in Grand Prairie, Fort McMurray -5. Sunny in Calgary at -2, Lethbridge +1. +7 in Vancouver, in showers, Victoria 8. -15 in Fort Nelson, Smithers -1. -41 in Old Crow, -41 in Rock River. -31 in Fort Simpson, Fort Liard -26. -39 in Tuktoyaktuk, -41 in Fort McPherson. -20 in Whale Cove and Sunny, Baker Lake -24. And the Iqaluit -16, Arctic Bay -12. Team Canada's quest for gold at the World Junior Hockey Tournament in Minnesota ended Sunday night with a stunning 6-4 loss to Czechia in the semifinal. This is the third year in a row Canada has failed to make it to the gold medal round. 18-year-old all-star and member of the Trondon-Gwich'in First Nation in Yukon, Gavin McKenna, shouldered the blame for the loss. Tempers flared when a late penalty against Canada resulted in Czechia scoring an empty net goal. Canadian players, including McKenna, were then seen yelling at game officials. McKenna got a 2-minute minor and a game misconduct for abuse of officials. McKenna, who snagged an assist, told reporters, "Letting your country down sucks."
It sucks, but kudos to them. They played hard. They play a hard game, and good luck to them in the finals.
What was the difference between a win and loss tonight? There were so many chances, so many opportunities. How do you kind of think back on the game collectively?
Yeah, honestly, it's hard to think right now. I think obviously, we had some bounces that didn't go in. That last goal gets kicked in, and it counts. So.
And heading into the third period of that bronze medal game in Minnesota, Canada is clinging to a 5-3 lead over Finland. Go Canada, go. An Alberta artist who traveled to Saskatchewan for work has created a musical album with an unlikely group of co-writers. Her album, titled Why the Caged Bird Sings, features voices from across the province sharing stories from people behind bars. APTN's Rachel May spoke with the songwriter behind the project.
And I find everyone I've met inside has been just remarkable, remarkable beings. And we know that there's a lot of circumstances that somebody would end up with a rap sheet that eventually would end up with a sentence and jail time.
Cheryl Larondel is a singer, songwriter, and visual artist who set out to share the voices of people in the justice system through music. In the late 1990s, she performed in correctional facilities as part of the duo Nigamok, where she saw a need for incarcerated people to be able to tell their stories. She began recording songs with inmates in 2008, and by 2019 had enough material to create the album Why the Caged Bird Sings.
I call all these songs freedom songs for that reason, because it's all of the co-writers, it's their words. I didn't write any of the words, it's their words.
About 100 people co-wrote the album, with songs from correctional facilities across Saskatchewan, including Pine Grove Correctional Centre and Saskatchewan Penitentiary in Prince Albert, Okimaochi Healing Lodge on the Nikanit First Nation near Maple Creek, and the Paul Dojak Youth Detention Centre in Regina. Larondel says much of the inmates' writing shared a common theme.
You really felt that there was sort of a positive mantra that they were trying to write about what they were going to do when they got out, the life they were going to lead.
Not every song on the album comes from feeling hopeful. The song Come My Sisters Come was written by women incarcerated at Pine Grove Correctional Centre following the 2011 murder of Margaret Seawap in Prince Albert. Larondel says the song served as a way for the women to grieve and process the realities of missing and murdered Indigenous women.
And so all the women realized that really because of the precarity of their lives, that they are sort of part of that potential population.
The songs and all album artwork were created by people who are incarcerated. The album is available to stream on Spotify and SoundCloud, or for purchase on all platforms. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
Thank you, Rachel. And that's your evening newscast for this Monday. APTN National News Daytime is back again tomorrow midday. Please join us then. From our team from across the country, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again. Ekse.